Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel, The Story Library. I hope you all stay well and healthy. Starting a new story today. Story name, The Vengeful Spirit. The old mansion stood alone at the edge of Blackwood Forest, hidden beneath towering oak trees that blocked the sunlight even during the brightest afternoons. Locals called it Raven Hill House, a place cursed by blood, betrayal, and death. For more than 50 years, no one had dared to spend a single night inside. Every villager had heard the stories. Some claimed they had seen a woman dressed in white standing on the balcony, staring silently into the darkness. Others swore they heard desperate cries echoing from the empty halls after midnight. A few who entered the mansion never returned. Most people believed the stories. Others laughed at them. Ethan Carter belonged to the second group. At 28 years old, Ethan was a rising paranormal documentary filmmaker. His YouTube channel had millions of subscribers who loved watching him investigate abandoned places and haunted buildings. He had spent countless nights inside old prisons, deserted hospitals, forgotten churches, and abandoned hotels. He had never seen a real ghost. To Ethan, every haunted location had a logical explanation. Until Raven Hill House. His cameraman Ryan parked the van near the rusted iron gate. "You still think this is fake?" Ryan asked while checking his equipment. Ethan smiled. "Every ghost story starts with rumors. Every rumor ends with facts." Ryan wasn't convinced. "The villagers looked terrified when we asked about this place. They're superstitious. Or maybe they're telling the truth." Ethan laughed. "If ghosts exist, tonight we'll finally meet one." As they unloaded their cameras, microphones, flashlights, and drones, an elderly man slowly approached from the nearby road. His weathered face looked pale. "You boys shouldn't go inside," he warned. Ethan politely smiled. "We're just filming." The old man shook his head. "Many people entered that house, and only a few came back." Ryan exchanged nervous glances with Ethan. The old man continued. "Her name was Emily." "Who?" "The woman who still lives there." Ryan frowned. "You mean her ghost?" The old man looked toward the mansion. "They murdered her." Silence filled the air. "She never forgave them." Before Ethan could ask another question, the old man turned around and disappeared into the fog. Ryan whispered, "I don't like this." Ethan simply adjusted his camera. Perfect opening for the documentary. The rusty gate screamed as they pushed it open. Dead leaves covered the stone pathway leading to the mansion. Every window was broken. The walls were stained black. Strange symbols had been scratched into the wooden front door. Ryan looked around. "Feels colder." Ethan checked his temperature meter. It actually dropped 8 degrees. See? Probably because of the trees. They entered. The heavy wooden door slammed shut behind them. Both men froze. Ryan quickly grabbed the handle. It wouldn't move. "Very funny. I didn't touch it," Ethan replied. Ryan tried again. Still locked. After several seconds, the door suddenly creaked open by itself. Neither of them spoke. Ethan forced a smile. Old hinges. Ryan wasn't laughing anymore. Dust floated through the air. Broken furniture lay scattered across the grand entrance hall. Portraits of unfamiliar people hung crooked on the walls. One painting caught Ethan's attention. A young woman, long black hair, pale skin, gentle blue eyes. Someone had scratched deep claw marks across her face. A brass plate beneath the portrait read, "Emily Ravenscroft." Ryan quietly asked, "Think that's the Emily the old man mentioned?" Before Ethan answered, crash! A loud noise echoed upstairs. Both cameras instantly turned toward the staircase. "Probably a bird," Ethan whispered. Another sound. Footsteps, slow, heavy, walking across the second floor. Ryan swallowed. "Ethan, I hear it." The footsteps stopped. Complete silence. Then, a woman's whisper drifted through the hallway. "Leave." Ryan's face turned white. "Did you hear that?" Ethan replayed the audio through his headphones. "Nothing." "I guess your imagination is working." Ryan didn't reply. They continued exploring. The dining room looked untouched despite decades of abandonment. Old plates remained on the table. Silverware rested exactly where someone had left it. Cobwebs covered everything. Yet, one chair was perfectly clean, as if someone had been sitting there moments earlier. Ryan slowly backed away. "I really don't think we're alone." Ethan took photographs. "Interesting." Suddenly, a cold breeze swept across the room. Every candle on the table burst into blue flames. Ryan screamed. There was no fire. Ethan stared in disbelief. His scientific explanations disappeared. The flames flickered, then died. Darkness returned. Hours passed. Night completely surrounded the mansion. Rain hammered against broken windows. Lightning illuminated the halls for brief moments. Every shadow seemed alive. The cameras continued recording. Around midnight, Ethan reviewed the footage. His heart nearly stopped. Standing behind Ryan, for less than 2 seconds, was the same woman from the portrait. Long black hair, white dress, pale face, completely expressionless. Neither of them had seen her while filming, but the camera had. Ryan looked at the screen. His voice trembled. "Zoom in." Ethan did. The woman's eyes slowly turned toward the camera. Then she smiled. Not a warm smile, a smile filled with hatred. The video suddenly glitched. Every monitor went black. From somewhere deep inside the mansion, a woman laughed, not loudly, softly, as though she had been waiting for them all along. Ethan felt his pulse racing for the first time in his career. He whispered, "I don't think we're investigating this house anymore." Ryan looked toward the endless dark hallway. "No, it feels like the house is investigating us." At that exact moment, a child's voice echoed from upstairs. "Emily is awake." And then, the lights on every camera turned off simultaneously. The darkness swallowed the mansion. Every camera had shut down at the same moment, leaving Ethan and Ryan standing in complete silence. Only the sound of rain pounding against the broken windows echoed through Ravenhill House. Ryan tried switching on his flashlight. Nothing. Its batteries had been fully charged only a few hours earlier. "Ethan," Ryan whispered, his voice shaking. "Something is draining the power." Ethan pulled out his backup flashlight. It flickered once, twice, then finally illuminated the hallway with a weak, trembling beam. The portraits lining the walls seemed different now. Every painted face appeared to be staring directly at them. "Let's get out," Ryan said. Ethan nodded without arguing. For the first time in his career, he wanted to leave a haunted location before finishing the investigation. They hurried toward the front entrance. But when they reached the massive wooden door, it was gone. In its place stood an old brick wall, covered with dark stains that looked disturbingly like dried blood. Ryan froze. No, this can't be happening." Ethan ran his hands over the cold bricks. The entrance had vanished. There has to be another way out. A faint giggle echoed from upstairs. Then came the sound of a music box playing a slow, haunting melody. The tune drifted through the mansion like a whisper from another world. "We're not alone," Ethan murmured. Following the eerie melody, they climbed the creaking staircase. Each step groaned beneath their weight. Halfway up, Ryan noticed something strange. Dust. What about it? "Our footprints." Ethan looked down. Only one set of footprints covered the dusty stairs. Their own footprints were missing. Instead, small barefoot prints led upward, as if a child had walked there moments before. Ryan stepped back. "I swear I'm not staying here." Suddenly, one tiny footprint appeared on the next stair. Then another, and another. They were forming right before their eyes. Invisible feet were climbing the stairs. The music box stopped. Silence. Then a little girl's voice whispered, "She knows you're here." Her long black hair covered her face. Water dripped from the hem of her dress onto the wooden floor. She slowly raised one pale hand and pointed toward the basement. The next flash of lightning came. She was gone. After forcing the bedroom door open, Ethan and Ryan made their way downstairs. The music box began playing again. This time, the melody led them to a heavy iron door hidden beneath the staircase. A rusty chain wrapped around the handle. Someone had desperately tried to keep it closed. Ryan hesitated. "I don't think we should open this." Ethan looked at the diary in his hands. "Emily wants us to." Together, they removed the chain. The iron door creaked open. A foul smell rushed out. Rotten wood, wet earth, and something far worse. The basement steps disappeared into complete darkness. As they descended, strange scratches covered the stone walls. Some were only random marks, others formed the same horrifying message over and over. She never forgave them. At the bottom of the stairs lay an abandoned ritual room. Candles, long melted into wax, surrounded a broken stone altar. Ancient symbols had been painted across the floor. In the center stood an old wooden chest. Ethan slowly opened it. Inside were dozens of faded newspaper clippings. One headline caught his attention: "Young woman disappears before wedding." Another read, "Search for Emily Ravenscroft ends in failure." A third headline revealed the shocking truth: "Ravenscroft family claims daughter ran away." Ryan frowned. They lied. Ethan kept searching. At the very bottom of the chest, He found a small silver locket. Inside was a photograph of Emily smiling beside a young man. On the back was engraved, "Emily and Thomas, forever." At that exact moment, a deep voice echoed through the basement. "You should have left." Both men turned. A tall shadow stood at the top of the stairs. Its glowing eyes burned like fire. It wasn't Emily. It was something else, something darker. The shadow took one slow step downward, then another. Its voice echoed through the basement. "She cannot rest until every sinner pays." The basement door slammed shut. The candles around the altar burst into blue flames, and somewhere in the darkness, Emily began to cry. The blue flames danced wildly around the stone altar, casting twisted shadows across the basement walls. Ethan tightened his grip on the silver locket while Ryan slowly backed away. The dark figure at the top of the stairs remained perfectly still. Its glowing eyes never blinked. Then it spoke again. "You have awakened the truth." Its voice echoed through the basement like thunder. Ryan whispered, "Who are you?" The figure answered with a low, hollow laugh. "I am the keeper of their sins." Before either man could react, the candles exploded one by one, filling the room with thick black smoke. Ethan looked at the locket again. Inside the photograph, Emily and Thomas were smiling. But something was different. Thomas's face was slowly fading from the picture, as if someone or something was erasing him from history. Ryan stared in disbelief. That wasn't happening before. Ethan carefully slipped the locket into his jacket pocket. "We're missing part of the story." Suddenly, a whisper drifted through the basement. "Follow me." It was Emily's voice. Soft, sad, but no longer angry. A narrow stone passage at the back of the basement slowly opened. Neither of them had noticed it before. Taking a deep breath, Ethan switched on his last working flashlight. Together, they stepped inside. When the smoke cleared, the shadow had disappeared. Only silence remained. The hidden tunnel was cold and damp. Water dripped from the ceiling. The air smelled of mold and earth. Ancient symbols had been carved into the walls, and every few meters they found strange messages scratched into the stone. "Liars die twice. Blood remembers. The innocent still waits." The tunnel finally opened into a forgotten underground chamber. In its center stood a large stone coffin, chains wrapped tightly around it. Each chain was covered with old dried blood. Ryan swallowed hard. "I don't think we should touch that." But before Ethan could answer, the chains began to rattle on their own. One by one, they snapped. The heavy lid of the coffin slowly slid aside. Inside lay the skeleton of a young woman. Around its neck hung a necklace identical to the one in Ethan's pocket. Emily. Beside her fragile bones rested another diary. Unlike the first one, this diary was stained with blood. Ethan carefully opened it. The final entries revealed the horrifying truth. "Father discovered our plan to escape. Thomas came to save me, but they captured him. They accused him of stealing the family fortune. It was all a lie." Ethan turned another page. His hands trembled. "Father ordered the servants to bury me alive beneath the house." Ryan's face turned pale. "No." Another page. "I screamed until my voice disappeared. Thomas tried to save me. They killed him before my eyes." The last page contained only one sentence, written in dried blood. "I will never forgive them." The ground suddenly shook. The coffin slammed shut. A freezing wind rushed through the chamber. Emily appeared before them. This time her face was visible. She was breathtakingly beautiful, yet terrifying. Her pale skin was cracked. Dark tears ran down her cheeks. Her eyes glowed with sadness rather than hatred. She looked directly at Ethan. "Help me." Those two words echoed through the chamber. Then another voice interrupted. "You cannot save her." The shadow returned. This time it was stronger. Larger, its body seemed made entirely of darkness. Emily stepped backward. She looked frightened. Ethan realized something impossible. Emily wasn't the most dangerous spirit in Raven Hill House. She was trapped here. The real monster was the shadow. The creature stretched its long arms across the chamber. The walls began to crack. The symbols glowed bright red. "I was born from betrayal," it growled. "I fed upon their hatred. Every murder, every lie made me stronger." Ryan whispered, "It's not a ghost." Ethan nodded. "It's the curse itself." The shadow lunged toward them. Emily suddenly stood between them. A brilliant white light burst from her body. The monster screamed. For a brief moment it retreated into the darkness. Emily looked at Ethan one last time. There is only one way. She pointed toward the family chapel above the mansion. My father's grave, destroy his lies. Only then will I be free. Before Ethan could ask another question, Emily vanished. The chamber collapsed around them. Huge stones crashed from the ceiling. Ethan, run! Ryan shouted. They sprinted through the tunnel as it crumbled behind them. Barely escaping, they climbed back into the mansion. The entire house shook violently. Portraits fell from the walls. Windows shattered. A deafening scream echoed through every room. The Shadow's furious voice roared through Raven Hill House. You have chosen her side. You will die before sunrise. Lightning flashed across the sky. From the second-floor balcony, Ethan saw Emily standing silently in her white dress. She wasn't smiling, she wasn't crying, she was waiting for the truth to be uncovered, and for her vengeance to finally come to an end. The mansion trembled as thunder roared above Raven Hill House. The walls groaned as if they were alive, struggling to hold themselves together. Cracks spread across the ceilings, and broken chandeliers crashed onto the dusty floors below. Ethan and Ryan barely escaped the collapsing hallway. We have to reach the chapel, Ethan shouted. It's the only place Emily said could break the curse. Ryan nodded, breathing heavily. Then let's finish this. The family chapel stood behind the mansion, hidden beneath towering trees and tangled vines. Its wooden doors hung crooked on rusted hinges. A stone cross lay broken in front of the entrance. As they stepped inside, the air became unnaturally cold. Rows of rotten wooden pews faced a cracked altar. Old candles, long burned out, lined the walls. At the far end of the chapel stood a massive marble tomb. The inscription read, Edward Ravenscroft, beloved father, honored citizen. Ryan frowned. Beloved? Ethan remembered Emily's words. Destroy his lies. There has to be something hidden here. Searching around the tomb, Ethan noticed a loose stone beneath the altar. Together, they pushed it aside. A small iron box lay hidden underneath. The lock had already rusted away. Inside were dozens of old letters, legal documents, and a leather-bound journal. Ethan opened the journal. The handwriting was bold and confident. It belonged to Edward Ravenscroft. The first pages described his wealth, his influence, and his obsession with protecting the family name. But the final pages revealed a horrifying truth. Emily has dishonored this family. She loves a poor stable boy. I will never allow my bloodline to be stained. Ryan's hands trembled. Ethan turned another page. Thomas refused my money. He chose death instead. Another page. The servants buried Emily beneath the house tonight. No one will ever know. The final sentence made Ethan's blood run cold. If her spirit returns, let it suffer forever. Ryan looked up slowly. He cursed his own daughter. Before Ethan could answer, the journal burst into flames. A deafening roar shook the chapel. The stained glass windows exploded inward. A violent wind filled the room. The shadow appeared once again, only this time it was enormous. Its body nearly touched the chapel ceiling. Its glowing eyes burned like molten fire. You should have left the truth buried. The creature raised one massive arm. The marble tomb cracked open. Dark smoke poured out from inside. The spirit of Edward Ravenscroft slowly emerged. He still wore the clothes of a wealthy gentleman, but his face, it was twisted with greed and cruelty. You dare judge me? Edward growled. I protected my family's honor. Ethan stepped forward. You murdered your own daughter. Edward laughed. She chose love over blood. Ryan shouted. No father has the right to do that. Edward's smile vanished. The shadow wrapped itself around him like living darkness. Together they became even more powerful. The chapel shook violently. Black mist covered every corner. Ethan suddenly remembered the silver locket. He pulled it from his pocket. The moment the locket opened, a brilliant white light filled the chapel. Emily appeared once more. She looked stronger than before. Thomas stood beside her. His spirit had finally returned. The two lovers held hands. Edward screamed in fury. No! You belong beneath the earth! Emily looked directly at her father. Her voice was calm. You buried my body, but not the truth. The light surrounding Emily grew brighter. The shadow shrieked in pain. Its dark body began to crack, but it did not disappear. Instead, it gathered every ounce of darkness in the chapel into a single monstrous form. The creature roared, If I fall, this house falls with me. Suddenly, flames erupted across the chapel floor. The roof began collapsing. Massive wooden beams crashed around them. Ryan grabbed Ethan. We have to go! Ethan looked back at Emily. She shook her head. There is one final task. She pointed toward Edward's open grave. At the bottom lay an ancient black medallion covered in strange symbols. The shadow was connected to it. As long as the medallion remained intact, the curse could never end. The creature let out a terrifying scream and lunged toward Ethan. Its claws reached only inches from his face. The chapel exploded with darkness, and everything went black. Darkness consumed everything. For a few endless seconds, Ethan could neither see nor hear. It felt as though the entire world had vanished. Then, slowly, a faint white glow pierced the darkness. "Ethan, wake up." It was Emily's voice. He opened his eyes and found himself lying on the cracked stone floor of the chapel. Flames crawled across the wooden pews, and the roof was collapsing piece by piece. Ryan was only a few feet away, unconscious but alive. The monstrous shadow stood in the center of the chapel, guarding the ancient black medallion that rested inside Edward Ravenscroft's shattered grave. Its burning eyes locked onto Ethan. "You cannot destroy what was created by hatred," it growled. Ethan struggled to his feet. "Maybe not, but the truth can." The shadow let out an earth-shaking roar and charged. Ethan barely rolled aside as the creature's claws smashed into the stone floor, leaving deep cracks behind. Ryan finally regained consciousness. "Ethan, I'm okay!" The monster attacked again. This time, Emily stepped between them. A brilliant white light burst from her spirit, forcing the shadow back. Thomas appeared beside her, his hand glowing with the same pure light. For the first time in decades, the two lovers fought together, yet even their combined strength wasn't enough. The shadow absorbed the darkness surrounding the chapel, growing larger with every passing second. Edward Ravenscroft laughed. "You cannot defeat hatred. It lives inside every human heart." Ethan looked at the burning journal lying on the floor. Most of its pages had turned to ash. Only one remained untouched. He picked it up. Written across the final page were words he had never seen before. "The curse survives only while the lie survives." Emily suddenly understood. "My father's grave." Ryan frowned. "The medallion isn't the real source. The lie is." Ethan looked toward Edward's spirit. For 50 years, everyone believed Emily ran away. They never knew she was murdered. Edward's smile disappeared. "No. If the truth is revealed, my power." Before he could finish, Ethan held the journal high. "You wanted history to forget your crime. It won't." The shadow roared in fury and lunged forward. Emily and Thomas held it back with every ounce of their strength. Their spirits began to fade. "Ethan!" Emily cried. "Now!" Ethan ran toward the shattered grave. The black medallion pulsed with dark energy. The closer he came, the louder the whispers became. Voices filled his mind. "Give up? Join us. Truth changes nothing." He ignored them. Reaching into his pocket, Ethan pulled out Emily's silver locket. He placed it directly on top of the black medallion. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then, the locket opened by itself. Inside, the smiling photograph of Emily and Thomas glowed with warm golden light. The light spread across the grave. The medallion began to crack. The shadow screamed. Its body split apart as streams of darkness escaped into the sky. Edward fell to his knees. "No, I did it for my family." Emily stepped forward, tears running down her face. "You destroyed your family." With those words, the medallion shattered into hundreds of pieces. A wave of brilliant white light exploded through the chapel. The shadow let out one final, deafening scream before dissolving into nothingness. Edward's spirit reached toward Emily, but she simply closed her eyes. "I forgive you." The light surrounded him. His spirit slowly faded away. Not in victory, not in peace, but in the silence of a man finally forced to face the truth. Outside, the storm ended. The rain stopped. For the first time in decades, the clouds above Ravenhill House began to clear. Moonlight bathed the mansion in silver. Emily and Thomas stood together before Ethan and Ryan. They were no longer pale, broken spirits. They looked exactly as they had in the old photograph. Young, smiling, and finally free. Emily spoke softly. "Thank you." Thomas nodded. "You gave us the ending we were denied." Slowly, their hands intertwined. Their bodies transformed into countless tiny lights that floated upward into the night sky. Within seconds, they were gone. Forever. As dawn broke, Ethan and Ryan walked away from Ravenhill House. Behind them, the old mansion stood silent. The whispers had stopped. The cries had faded. The curse was over. Months later, Ethan released his documentary. He didn't call it The Vengeful Spirit. Instead, he gave it a different title, The Truth Buried Beneath Raven Hill House. Millions watched the film. For the first time in over 50 years, the world learned what had really happened to Emily Ravenscroft and Thomas. Their names were finally remembered. Their story was finally told. But some people still claim that on quiet autumn nights, when the moon shines brightly over the ruins of Raven Hill House, two peaceful figures can be seen walking hand in hand through the garden. They are not searching for revenge anymore. They are simply walking together, as they always dreamed they would. The end.